Nigel Farage, there was talk about an £80 million donation from Elon Musk.
A Sunday newspaper story without any basis of fact.
Racist comments from campaigners and homophobic comments by one of your members of staff. Did it hurt you in the campaign?
So he's giving us political support. We have at this stage neither solicited or been offered donations.
Okay.
The media's fixation on the past is why you're losing public trust. These words from Nigel Farage set the stage for an explosive confrontation on Sky News that's got everyone talking. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video, but what's really at stake here? As Farage battles Beth Rigby's relentless questioning, we reveal the hidden tensions between political outsiders and media giants that could reshape British politics. As Beth Rigby launched into her aggressive questioning, the stage was set for a fiery confrontation. Rigby, true to form, zeroed in on past controversies, specifically referencing a Reform UK member's conviction from 2 decades ago. It was a classic media tactic, one that non-establishment parties like Reform UK have come to expect. But Nigel Farage wasn't having it. He pushed back hard, highlighting the media's fixation on old news.
Hugely. Hugely. I mean, don't forget, I've been out of the picture for a couple of years. Reform was a very, very small party. Full credit to Richard Tice for keeping it going. And we've got good connections with him. Nick's got good connections with him as well.
He's messaged me this morning.
But it wasn't really in a fit state to fight a snap general election. That's all changed. We are now vetting candidates.
Let's worry about where we are today, Farage countered, his frustration palpable. This exchange wasn't just about one interview, it exposed a broader issue in how mainstream media treats political outsiders. The confrontation between Farage and Rigby serves as a perfect case study of the challenges faced by non-establishment parties. They're often subjected to intense scrutiny of their past, while current policies and public sentiment take a back seat. It's a pattern that's become all too familiar in British political discourse. Public trust in mainstream media has been on a downward spiral, and exchanges like this one don't help. Many voters have grown skeptical of the impartiality of outlets like Sky News and the BBC, particularly when it comes to coverage of parties outside the traditional power structure. There's a growing disconnect between what the media focuses on and what the public actually cares about. As the interview progressed, the tension was palpable. How would Farage turn the tables on Rigby's relentless questioning? The answer came in a moment of direct confrontation. Farage didn't just deflect, he went on the offensive, challenging the very premise of the media's obsession with past events. The mainstream media like you are losing the affections of the British public, Farage asserted, his words cutting to the heart of the issue. It was a bold claim, but one that resonated with many viewers who've grown tired of what some call gotcha journalism. This style of aggressive questioning, exemplified by Rigby, often overshadows meaningful discussions about policy and current issues. Farage's pushback wasn't just about defending himself or his party. It was a broader challenge to how political discourse is shaped in Britain. By asserting that the media's fixation on past controversies erodes public trust, he tapped into a growing sentiment among voters who feel disconnected from mainstream political coverage. But as heated as this exchange was, it was clear that the confrontation was far from over. The battle between political outsiders and media giants was just getting started, with implications that could reshape the landscape of British politics. While the media giants thought they had Farage cornered, they didn't anticipate his secret weapon. As the confrontation escalated, an unexpected shift in the political landscape was about to turn the tables. Farage, ever the political maverick, had a trump card up his sleeve that would leave Beth Rigby and Sky News scrambling. Instead of getting bogged down in Rigby's relentless questioning about past controversies, Farage expertly pivoted the conversation to Reform UK's growing momentum. This wasn't just clever deflection. It was a calculated move to showcase the party's rising influence in British politics. Recent poll numbers have shown a surprising surge in support for Reform UK, catching many political pundits off guard. But it's not just anonymous poll respondents backing Reform UK. High-profile endorsements have been rolling in, giving the party a newfound legitimacy that's hard for the mainstream media to ignore. Take, for instance, the recent defection of former Conservative Minister Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Her decision to join Reform UK as its 100,000th member and represent the party in the upcoming Greater Lincolnshire mayoral race sent shockwaves through the political establishment. And let's not forget the eyebrow-raising interest from none other than Elon Musk, who's been asking about electoral opportunities to support the party. The contrast between the media narrative and actual public sentiment couldn't be starker. While outlets like Sky News seem fixated on rehashing old controversies, a growing segment of the electorate is resonating with Reform UK's message of national sovereignty and systemic reform. It's a classic case of the establishment underestimating the appetite for change among voters disillusioned with traditional parties. Farage and Reform UK have been savvy in their approach to bypassing traditional media gatekeepers. Their social media strategy has been particularly effective, allowing them to connect directly with voters and build grassroots support. This digital-first approach has not only increased the party's visibility, but also given them a platform to counter mainstream narratives in real time. As the interview reached its climax, Farage's response to Rigby's questioning was nothing short of masterful. He didn't just deflect, he reframed the entire conversation. By emphasizing the need to focus on present challenges rather than historical issues, Farage effectively shifted the narrative away from the media's preferred talking points and onto Reform UK's vision for the future. In the end, Farage emerged from the confrontation not just unscathed, but stronger. He had successfully refocused the narrative on current issues and Reform UK's growing influence, leaving viewers with plenty to ponder about the changing face of British politics. As the dust settles on this media showdown, one thing is clear: the political landscape in Britain is shifting, and the effectiveness of anti-establishment messaging is becoming increasingly apparent. The confrontation between Nigel Farage and Beth Rigby isn't just riveting television, it's a symbol of a seismic shift in British politics. As traditional media outlets cling to old narratives, parties like Reform UK are finding new ways to connect with voters. This clash highlights the growing divide between establishment journalism and public sentiment. But what does this mean for the future of political discourse in Britain? As social media platforms become the new battleground for hearts and minds, we're seeing a democratization of information. No longer are voters solely reliant on mainstream outlets for their political news. This shift presents both opportunities and challenges. As viewers, it's crucial we approach all media, traditional and new, with a critical eye. The landscape is changing, and so too must our approach to consuming political information. The future of British democracy may well depend on our ability to navigate this new terrain.